A Trump supporter here was arrested after walking into a Dairy Queen, threatening to kill Democrats. Threatening to kill Democrats. Yeah, that's good. Let's go to details of how this whole thing happened because this has become norm in America, but we only push back here and there once someone finally does get killed. So this guy is a former President Donald Trump supporter from Pennsylvania. He was arrested after storming this Dairy Queen with a loaded handgun while wearing a clown wig. It's almost like he played the role that he fits. During this incident, he claimed he was going to kill all the Democrats because Trump was still president. I'm trying to make that connection. He's going to kill them because Trump is still president. Okay. His name is Jan Stawovy. He's a 61-year-old from Hunker, Pennsylvania, and he told police who confronted him that he talked to God and was a prophet who was working undercover with the Pennsylvania State Police on a drug sting operation. He also told officers that he was working to restore Trump as president. And that's according to the affidavit that was reviewed by this local TV station. Pause there for a second. This guy walked into a Dairy Queen with a gun, said, I'm going to kill all the Democrats, whoever that is he wants to identify as Democrats. And then the police showed up, and you know what they had? Again, that beginning of that last graphic, the police confronted him, and he talked to them. Why are they talking? If it was someone else, I feel like he'd have been shot multiple times. Okay, continue on. Because Stawovy was arrested, and police subsequently found 2 more loaded handguns in his car, along with 62 rounds of ammunition. So apparently he was serious. Stawovy is now facing multiple felony charges, including making terroristic threats and carrying a concealed firearm without a license. That's according to online court documents reviewed by ICE News, and a date for his arraignment hasn't been set just yet. So this is a bit of a theme, Dan, that goes on because he was influenced by QAnon. He also posted some QAnon-linked videos referencing the Great Awakening and deep state plots to deny Trump the presidency. He also shared posts from a number of high-profile figures within the QAnon community, including former Trump attorney Lin Wood and evangelical pastor Greg Locke, who has repeatedly preached/screamed QAnon conspiracies from the pulpit. There's more to this because last week, we talked about this other guy who was a regular normal citizen and murdered his wife, killed their dog, and tried to kill their daughter. I'm not sure how the daughter's doing because she was in pretty bad shape, but he lost it and neighbors were confused by it. His name was Igor Lannis. There's he and his family there. He flipped out based off of QAnon conspiracy theories as well. His daughter pointed this out. Rebecca Lannis told the Daily Beast that her father became obsessed with QAnon and other conspiracy theories in 2020 and consuming large amounts of online videos and following far-right figures like InfoWars' Alex Jones, who has also been in the news. So Dan, before you jump in here and talk about this insanity, because I know you know all about QAnon, one more piece here, because Lauren Boebert, along with former President Trump, she likes to incite violence and talk to people about what they should be doing. She did this as well. Watch.
As you see the end draw near, we know that we are in the last of the last days, but it's not a time to complain about it. It's not a time to get upset about it. This is a time to know that you were called to be a part of these last days. You get to have a role in ushering in the second coming of Jesus. How cool is that?
So now they're prophesizing using a bunch of QAnon folks, or maybe even she just thinks she's going to go to churches and say, listen to that. You have the opportunity to usher in the second coming of Jesus by doing what? The end days are drawing near. You were called to be a part about this. As she's talking to people who probably support her and support Trump, and who also ran up in the Capitol side to kill people, who also talk about civil war, who also talk about spilling the blood of their enemies on our soil, all this stuff. They know this, but they're using them still because what they want is a bloodbath in the country, Dan.
Yeah, this is a case study in stochastic terrorism and why, unfortunately, it'll never be addressed in this particular climate and politics right now. It's really important that we call it out. Stochastic terrorism, to not use like a highfalutin college phrase, is what happens when you use your speech as a right-wing pundit to encourage violence. The QAnon conspiracy theories, which people have been covering, I'll say like shout out Jared Holt, for example, have been covering since its kind of beginning in 2018, 2019. He's a journalist and researcher. It's been kind of pointing at the increased isolation and independence, so to speak, of the American culture. We have fewer and fewer forms of community. We're isolated and taught to fear each other by our politics, especially by right-wing media ecosystems and machines, from Fox News all the way down to Alex Jones, as far as like how conspiratorial it gets. And Fox News is already fairly conspiratorial to begin with, but it's also in another way, similarly to Alex Jones, just increasingly becoming more mainstream. And so what you get because of these people who are stoking fears and these groups of people who are feeling more disconnected from their society, told that every person is a threat, told the government's going to get them, in a lot of ways based on the flimsiest amounts of evidence, then you're going to get these fringe cases. I like your point in the beginning with the clown, because there's this kind of two things here. There was the trend of what's going on, and then there was this instance with the clown here at Dairy Queen. He was lucky he's Krusty the Clown, because that was Homie the Clown armed with a Dairy Queen. The situation would have ended up entirely different. You're 100% right there, and it's important to call that out. But yeah, ultimately, the trend here that we're seeing in this country is that Republicans have tried and tested a number of different things. They tried cancel culture on college campuses. It had some juice, but that's kind of died out. Now they're trying stoking people's fears and thinking that it's the end times, and doing it deliberately. I think like all these other people like Lauren Boebert or whatever know that it's not really the end times. At least I hope they know that. But like, they know how dangerous it is to convince people that the stakes are the highest they can possibly be. And you're going to see that like more lives are going to be lost as a result. It's really scary.
You want proof of why they know it's not, they don't really think it's the end times, is they're not preparing for these things the way that they're telling their followers to prepare for these things. She told them, you can be part of it. Don't be afraid. In other words, you can die here, without saying be ready to die, because we're all going to die anyway. It's the end times. And the way to make sure you're sitting at the nearest to the throne of Jesus is to make sure that you follow what I say he says you should do, which is kill other people to usher in his second coming. It's literally using their belief system, which they've been pushing on them for decades and decades and decades, mixing it with their politics so that they can make sure that they say, hey, the political moment has come when Jesus cares about you killing other people so that you can make it into heaven. They've bastardized the entire belief system based off of their political, I was going to say their expediency, but they're already there. They're looking to make sure that they galvanize this fight, because that's the only thing they got left. They don't have policies. Again, the one of the themes of the show today is policies and principles. Do they really have them? And their main guy, let's look at this truth, re-truth that he did, that Trump put out, because we're talking about QAnon. And yeah, sure, Lauren Boebert, yeah, she's just that crazed individual. But he re-truthed this. And it said the storm is coming with him on it. You see the Q lapel pin there on his jacket. And of course, that the WWG1 WGA acronym they got there, which of course stands for, wait, if we game one person, we can game all of us. wait, we can do this. Anyway.
Fool me, we can't get fooled again.
It's exactly what the acronym should stand for. I think you guys should push that instead.